So we're going to focus on training and learning function. There are a lot of inferences you can draw based on the conversation. I'm going to give you the exact demo of the AI. So just stick with me till the end. You will have a pretty good perspective about AI. How can it be applied in our environment? My goal in this presentation will be shake up. We have been thinking traditional for many, many years. So today I would like you to think a little bit differently out of the box, see that what revolutionary technology has in its scope. And again, my presentation is not a pitch or proposal or action plan. Today it's purely on education so that you can further take it upstream to your management to see that what kind of things we can do in future about this technology. Here is how I laid out the demo today. I'm going to start with the training delivery first. I will go through the first thing where I will ask an AI model to explain me a concept or a topic. Then I'm going to put it in a role of a tutor, teach me. Then I'm going to take a problem a little bit more complex and I'm going to say, you are an expert and tell me, how can I solve this problem? Then I'm also going to put how it can test me by asking questions. And finally, I'm going to have a little bit summary of the things. That's number 5. And then I will, for a short while, jump over to this documentation area where I will ask it to write a brand new procedure based on the content I'm going to provide. And I will possibly be able to demonstrate how to create video out of the procedure and also some kind of field bulletin about that procedure. So that will be in this documentation area. And then I will be jumping on to the course development and e-learning, where I will be able to show you within few minutes how AI can create the entire training course, lesson plan, student homework, presentations, assessment, and even the case studies. And then I'm going to also be able to show you how it can create videos almost instantly. So this is in course development and e-learning part. This might take a little bit while I'm demonstrating, but I will try to go through that one pretty fast. I don't think I'm going to have any time today to go to the bottom one, which is more about training management part. There's a lot of data analytics, scheduling, and all those pieces. So I would mostly be focused on these upper 3 areas. My purpose here is to give you guys the demos. So I will try to use the most generic information. So I have been on AI wave for quite many months. I have been watching what's happening out there, and scope is massive. So it seems like at a high level trend, all the traditional roles like a documentation writer, course developer, e-learning, trainers, even administrator or reporting, all of those things are kind of making a shift into AI version of those roles. Some of the roles have been highly automated using AI. But again, human aspect we cannot ignore out of this. Whatever AI we're going to bring in, there are a lot of different things like AI mentor and AI data analytics coming in picture. I'm not going to show you everything. I'm going to show you only a few things, probably on the right-hand side. But let me kind of set the grounds. You might have seen some demos of ChatGPT, AI model out there, but nobody has actually answered how can you apply that in organization context. There's a lot of concern going on. OpenAI's ChatGPT is a open model. Anybody could use, and it's going to read all your data. But the thing is, Microsoft has an architect that all your organization knowledge, documentation, repository, videos, MS Stream, anything you write, any documentation, design you have, that stays in your organization private knowledge base. And they're going to implement what they call Azure Cognitive Search, which basically go through millions of documents to index the most relevant information in context of the question you're going to ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a model that's going to stay external to organization. It's not going to use your data. They're going to connect using Azure OpenAI Search. And when you send a prompt, which is a question to ChatGPT, it's going to handle by Azure OpenAI Search. Then it's going to go to your organizational documents to search through millions of those pieces to create a response. So essentially, whatever is on the left-hand side stays private and it does not go into OpenAI's ChatGPT model. And how they do it is they basically apply for an API between an OpenAI and Microsoft. And that API allows them to use the model and then be able to use for organizational purposes. So that's a high-level architect, how it is going to be accomplished eventually. Many different companies are going to open these kind of solutions. Microsoft is obviously the leading one because they are the biggest stake in ChatGPT as of now. As far as the AI is concerned, in fact, there are several different tools. The one which you see on the screen is basically ChatGPT by OpenAI company. But other than that, there are, in fact, tons of AI platform out there. For example, we have this called Code AI. This is also a powerful AI. It can actually perform things far better. We also have other AIs like Marketing Block. It has a massive amount of AI tools built into it, and it actually surpasses Open AI's ChatGPT in terms of capability, reach, and a lot of other things. So just like this, there are probably more than 500 AI platforms as of now. Most of them are leveraging the ChatGPT, but then they have created their own AI models these days, and they are pretty powerful. But today I'm going to only demonstrate AI capability using ChatGPT. For many years, you have already seen that AI have been in picture. They have been working on AI, but what they couldn't master is what we call natural language processing. That capability wasn't there. Even if you had IBM Watson or anything, there were more rule-based AI systems. But this is the first one where it's going to make the sense of the context in which you are asking the question. Now this ChatGPT can talk like a human. You can have a conversation, and that's why they call it chat. So you are going to talk like a buddy, and it's going to understand human conversation. And that's why it is powerful and breakthrough. So it can role play with you. So that's the main reason why it kind of blew out. So ChatGPT is pretty simple. It has nothing in its interface. It has only a text box for you to ask a question. Now, I'm going to start asking it a question. Today, I'm going to take you an example of Excel function, which is called XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP is very similar to VLOOKUP, and I thought all of you are managers here. You all use these functions. So I'm going to demonstrate the entire thing using XLOOKUP. First, we're going to do some questioning with the ChatGPT, then we'll create procedures on XLOOKUP. Then eventually I'll create a training course on XLOOKUP. First is I'm going to give it a role. I'm going to say, you are an expert on Excel. I'm going to give it a name. Your name is Mr. X. The reason is that the moment I next time say, hey, Mr. X, tell me this. So then it is going to assume a role of an Excel expert. Whenever I address you as Mr. X, you assume the role of an Excel expert. Okay, so I'm going to give it a job now. Okay, your job is to guide novice users on how to use some formulas in Excel. For giving the response, always summarize the question to make sure you understand it correctly. I have put my questions already in my document so that I don't bore you guys by typing. So I'm going to just say, okay, explain me the XLOOKUP function in Excel. But I'm going to tell him my audience is a 10-year-old. So now you will see the response. You say, It's going to take some time depending upon the traffic. It has explained me XLOOKUP in a language of a 10-year-old. Pretty simple words which a 10-year-old can understand. So now I say, okay, all right, I understand the concept, but you give me some examples. I gave some examples of a banana, apple, that you want to look for certain thing, and it also gives me a sort of code or formula that how I'm going to enter that information in Excel. So it's a pretty detailed one. I mean, that how in a simple fashion it created a response for 10-year-old so that that person can understand whatever I want to do. I can ask the question. Now I'm going to be in a debate mode. So I will ask it why I cannot use VLOOKUP, why I have to use XLOOKUP. It gives me the encouragement like a person, hey, it's a great question. So now it's systematically giving me why XLOOKUP and why not VLOOKUP, or where we use VLOOKUP, where we can be using XLOOKUP. So if you guys don't know XLOOKUP, in XLOOKUP you're not limited to start from left to right. You can use any column in your data to search in any other column. So it's a very powerful function compared to VLOOKUP. So now you see that how it is kind of giving you the responses. So that was basically kind of explaining me the concept. Give it a role of a tutor. I'm going to say I'm very new to Excel and I would like to play AI as my chat buddy. Encourage me, teach me. So now it's going to be bi-directional conversation. So I say, I'm new to Excel. I have a basic understanding. I would like you to ask question to test my understanding. All right, let's start with a simple question to see how well you understand. So let's see what the question it gave me. Can you explain me basic syntax of VLOOKUP? What are the arguments? So I'm going to just randomly type anything. I'm going to give it a partial answer and what it tells me. So it says, it's a good start, but let me give you a bit more information to clarify the syntax. So now it's coaching me like a buddy. So now it's asking me question, do you feel you understand syntax a bit better? I say, yeah. Keep it a little bit lively, like a buddy. So this is a role of tutor. I can go on asking question. The ChatGPT is going to ask me the question. So that is basically a role of tutor or a buddy, where it asks encouraging question based on your conversation. I can take this conversation infinitely long, but I don't have to. I'm going to be in a troubleshooting mode. So I am going to say I am new to it and I can't use VLOOKUP. So is there other way I can use it? So it's saying you can use these two things. You can use VLOOKUP, you can use index, you can use if error. So now it gave me some alternative, like I'm troubleshooting it, but I'm not able to move forward. So just like our technical support, it's going to give me things. Then I say, I got some value error there. I don't know how to fix it. Can you help me? So now it's going to say there are 4 or 5 possibilities. You might not be doing it right. So it gave me 4 action plan here to be able to implement. And later on, if I say, no, it didn't solve me my problem, then it's going to give me alternative action plan. If I say, no, that also didn't work, then it's going to give me another version. So it's going to keep giving me different versions until I say, yes, it did solve my problem. So it's very powerful from that angle that when you make it as an expert, I'm going to take it out from the expert role. And I'm going to say, okay, I am very good now. I understand Excel very well. I would like you to score my understanding. So now I want it to test my understanding like a assessor. So I say, you are my teacher. So it is now give me some questions. I told him grade me on the scale of 10. And it gave me some question. So first question it asked me is, what is the lookup used for? I'm going to give it a little bit half-cooked answer. Let's see, can it do a justice like a human? I say, it's a sorting table. So it's going to now say whether I'm correct or not. So I said, no, sorry, that's not correct. It's giving me the answer as well as telling me the correction that how do I need to correct. So I can keep going on and on. So it will never end. I'm saying, no, I don't want to answer that question. So now it gave me the correct answer. So on the scale of 10, I would grade your answer 2. So it's telling me like a human, like a tutor. It's important to understand the primary purpose to use effectively. So pretty friendly conversation we are having here. So that basically gives you the entire spectrum of training delivery, that how it is explaining the concept, how it is becoming as a tutor, and how it is testing you. So potential is powerful depending upon how well you can strike the conversation and keep going on. It can keep deeper and deeper and deeper. And you can ask it any question from any angle. You can even ask it, give me the entire code. How can I apply this formula in this context? But I don't need to demonstrate. Right now, I am using its own database. So until now, whatever I asked, it has been pre-trained by the OpenAI guys based on millions of documentation. I don't know from where, but they have already trained it. ChatGPT does not pick anything from internet. It doesn't go to Google. It doesn't go anywhere. It looks at the database on which it has been trained, and it creates the responses taking the information pieces from that database. It does not go to any internet until I tell it to go to internet. All the information, all the wisdom it is giving me is built into its core already. Okay, but remember that the ChatGPT is trained on a database or a know-how. ChatGPT is basically AI model to search the information and index it and provide it to you. Imagine that you apply ChatGPT on your documentation. It's not going to go to internet. It's going to search only in your documentation. It's not going to use its own database. That database we're going to do like a total erase. The next step which I'm going to take is where I'm going to start with a blank slate. I'll going to demonstrate that one. ChatGPT can take anything. It can be trained on videos. It can be trained on articles, procedures, PDFs, any other repository you have in your organization. It can be millions of documents, doesn't matter. It's going to take some time to understand the document, its syntax, its organization, its structure, and everything. But it can take any documents you present in the information in any format. And as you provide more and more documents, it's going to learn from it. The way this model is built, it creates a lot of contextual connections. So it understands the even if you provide half-cooked information, then it creates its own neurons where it can create the knowledge connection. My experience with this one is even if you provide very little information, it's going to do wonder by connecting that knowledge in a way you may not have anticipated before.
Interesting.
And then just like a human, it draws out the conclusions or inferences. And that gives us intelligence to be able to process the information and give you the wisdom out of that one. When we go to the documentation area, I'm going to actually show you how, based on a very little information, it's going to create its own intelligence. What I'm going to tell is, I'm going to tell ChatGPT to forget all the knowledge that has been fed to it and start like a blank slate. And then I'm going to give it my own information, and then it's going to learn from that information. I'll demonstrate that one over here at number 7. And the beauty about this one is they train it on minimal information. It creates knowledge out of that one. But sometimes we need to be careful that knowledge may not be correct. So we need to validate to make sure that it is building the right wisdom. Because sometimes there is chances that from tiny information, when you're creating wisdom, that might not be correct. So still they are improving the model. Today I'm using ChatGPT 3.5. But if I use 4.0, it is extremely accurate and very powerful. But it is very slow, so I didn't want to use that one today. The moment I say, no, that wasn't quite right, I didn't get it, or this wasn't, it knows that my answer did not work very well for the user. And it also remembered that I told him that I don't know anything about Excel. So then it associates that response to a novice. Next time any novice is going to ask me this question, I'm not going to give this answer. So it builds upon anytime you ask a question. When you say, no, this is not correct, it's not going to change its database. It's going to say, according to my database, this is this. Okay. Got it. And basically, it's just like your SMEs. So your SME is going to look at that feedback. They can say, okay, this one didn't work, this one worked, this one wasn't efficient, the user couldn't find the information. And then they're going to fine tune their connections so that it is better next time. That's how somebody need to keep watching those sessions in the model. I'll take you to the documentation, which is pretty interesting area. I'm going to first give it a role. I will provide you the text and you will create a document. You will not use your own database. Is that understood? So let's see what it says. I understand. I generate based solely on the input I receive without using pre-existing database. Okay. So now what I did is I erased, sort of. It is not from their database, but for my conversation, you're not going to use anything you're trained on. I have two XLOOKUP procedures. I'm going to show you first how those procedures look like. These are from internet. First, I will show you the URLs I have for each of these procedures. And then I put those into MS Word document format. So as you see, here's pretty detailed procedure about how to use lookup function in Excel. It's written in a certain format. It got some theory, what it is, how does it actually work, and then arguments, and it also talks about a certain thing you need to consider. Okay. Now, I also have another procedure came from a different source. In fact, they are far apart. Their writing style, their structure, their examples are also different. So then what I have done is I have taken these procedures and put it into MS Word, giving it a proper shape of the procedure. Now, in ChatGPT, we don't have a way to upload these documents as of now, but we do have other tools where we can upload these MS Word document or PDF document. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to give the URLs where these source documents are. I'm going to say, okay, at this URL, I have a procedure on XLOOKUP function. Analyze the procedure and tell me if it is reliable and correct. Let's see what it says. Based on the information, it read the URL. It says, article provide explanation about this one. And, it seems okay, but again, it's warning me not to trust these things too much. As a user, you want to make sure that whatever information you are feeding to AI model, it is reasonably correct. You obviously will have to either go to SMEs or somebody to say, does it look good? If people say, yeah, it looks good, that means I can feed it to AI. Yeah, you're ready to feed. So that's the validation you're going to need to do. I'm going to say, I would like you to summarize this procedure in a clear bullet point. Now I am making it use internet because I gave it a URL. I said, don't use any other database. I am providing you the information. Why I provided a URL? Because this particular model does not take document as of now. That feature is not on yet. So it gave me a summary in the bullet point, but this time the information it has used only from that source. And it has created its own intelligence, by the way, also. I don't think this table is there, but it's going to create its own little bit of wisdom based on the pieces of information. This summary I don't like. Give me concise summary. So it gave me 5 bullet points. So it basically taken out the crux of that procedure and gave me 5 summary bullets. I want it to now write a new procedure. Okay. I am going to give it two procedures from two different URLs. So I say, I'm going to provide you two source documents. Both are at different URLs. Read the procedure, make the sense. And both procedures are different, by the way, but both are related to XLOOKUP. And I wanted to create a very well-organized procedure. So you can think it like those two procedures being drafts that came from SMEs. And I wanted to generate a really neat and clean table. I wanted to insert images and table to illustrate the steps. So it can use two level of heading. Wow. It created the heading, subheading, because I gave it instruction, two level of headings. So that's how it is giving me two level of heading. If I don't give it an instruction of two level heading, it's only going to give me linear list of bullets. It's a kind of reusing some example, but ultimately what it is doing, it is created a procedure out of thin air, basically based on the information I provided. But I don't like the format. So I'm going to say, okay, I like that procedure format where you have text on one side and images on the other side. Let's see the same procedure, how it is going to generate. Now you see, it created instruction on one side and images on the other side. It's not going to show me the images. As I said, the limitation is it does not generate the images. It gives you the URL or examples of images. But the idea here is imagine that those images are inserted here. It's going to show you steps on the left-hand side and image on the right-hand side. You see that it created a nice, beautiful table of procedure. And I can dictate it to any format, by the way. Okay. I mean, I can ask it to create anything I would want. In ChatGPT 4.0 model, it can take any input. It can take image, it can take schematic, it can take drawing, it can take anything. There are tools where you fed it a handwritten drawing, it's going to create 3D model out of that one automatically. If you fed it a CAD drawing, it's going to create the entire 3D structure out of that one. If you feed it any information and tell it to analyze, let's say that you gave it a 3D or a 2D architect of a home design, then you ask it to analyze. First, it's going to create 3D model out of that one. And then it's going to say, all right, your passage to the kitchen is very narrow. You might want to shift your toilet on this side. So it performed the entire analysis within the know-how of that domain. So the answer to your question, visual search is possible. And there are lots of tools where it can create a new schematic for you. You say, okay, what's wrong with this one? Can you correct it? So it will regenerate the entire schematic. You can specify you'd have to train this model on to the outputs, that in what format you want the outputs. So different AI models are capable of producing the output in the format you want. As I said, that there are many AI models, depending on how you design and teach it. Certain models produce video script, certain models produce PDF, certain models produce slides. We will be able to even create presentation. So you decide in what format you want the output. So we need to go to corresponding tool. This tool right now, they have restricted a lot of features, but otherwise those features are available in other AI models. You decide the output in what format you want. This is a 17 minutes YouTube video, pretty detailed, but obviously since it's a video, it's structured differently, it's explained differently. But that's not an issue. We're going to take the transcript of this video. Sometimes this transcript is not very clean because of timestamps. I can actually use a AI tool, which gives me all the information. I'm going to copy this transcript and head over to ChatGPT. I gave it an instruction, the URL of the video, and here is the video transcript. So give me a procedure just based on this video. Let's kind of condense the information from that transcript. But the point here is that any kind of video can be converted into a systematic procedure. And imagine that if you have thousands and thousands of videos where you're demonstrating certain tasks, you can actually instruct it to go convert the entire video into systematic set of instructions or procedure. And if we couple it with the rest of the documents, it can become even a better procedure. So if videos are not shooted well, still it is able to extract that wisdom. I had this example of this one where I thought it was relevant. But we recently asked our employees to use XLOOKUP instead of VLOOKUP. So I would like you to draft a field bulletin instructing employees to use XLOOKUP moving forward. It's going to read those procedures which I have given earlier, and then based on that, it's going to create this moving forward. We have been doing these kind of bulletins earlier, but now it creates bulletin based on the information that has been given. Here is the document based on this one, create a bulletin and send it out to this DL. So very powerful from that angle. Minutes to demonstrate this entire chain, that how we can create the entire course based on the information what we have created from ChatGPT today. I'm going to show you a tool. Let's say that I have a XLOOKUP presentation slide in my computer. I'm going to give it the slides. I'm just going to ask a question based on this document. I asked it a question, what is the limitation of older lookup function and how does the XLOOKUP address these limitations? So I just gave it a fabricated question. And if I ask it, okay, help me summarize this document. I want to learn it, but I don't have enough time. So now it's going to not go anywhere else. It is going to stay within the document. So it's a document that talks about this and this. I can even ask it, can find what's the gaps with this document. This can be a procedure, by the way. So what I'm asking, what information I should add to make it more comprehensive. So then it gave me some pointers that a detailed explanation of this and this should be okay. And you could discuss compatibility issue. So imagine that I have a procedure and I am asking it that tell me what are the gaps, and I will address those gaps in my training course. So it's basically sort of doing a need analysis based on the information or repository you give it. This is one of the tools which reads all the PDF slides and documents, which ChatGPT currently cannot, but this tool can. I'm going to go back to my tool, and now I'm going to demonstrate you how I design a training course here. It's going to take about 5 minutes total process, so just stay with me. You will have a very good understanding at the end of this one that the time we spend weeks and weeks creating training courses and how we can leverage this one to accelerate that entire workflow. I gave it a different role. I say, you are an expert on course design, and you are also an expert on Excel. Your job is to create a training course for professionals. The course is to teach XLOOKUP function. And this course should have hands-on activities, case examples. In the following chat, I will provide you queries to produce the course. Is that understood? It's understood. I'm going to give it the same procedure. I'm going to say, create a course description and outline for the XLOOKUP course. Use the information provided in these two URLs. Let's see what it creates for me. All right, here it is. Instantly, it created the course description. Within few seconds, it creates the entire thing for you, which include course description, course outline. But right now, it gave me module and sub-bullets. Advanced lookup for operations, best practices, case studies. Remember, I asked it to make it for professional and include all the case study and practical examples, and include some quizzes and assessment. Based on that 10 pages, it's going to create that tiny course only, maybe for 30 minutes, hardly. But if I provide it more information, it's going to create me a bigger course, multi-day course. Give me the more detail about the bullets, because right now it's pretty high level. So now it's going to go down to more detail so that we understand the scope, what exactly each bullet should contain. So now if I hire a course designer. I say, here is my outline based on this draft. Build me a training course. Maybe it needs to be hammered a little bit, but it does create, because giving me a lot of details, so it's going to take a few more seconds to go all the way down to 6 module. But if you see that the speed with which it creates, the intelligence is mind-blowing. We could potentially use it with the help of some human intelligence on top of that one, obviously. It created the outline for me, and I will ask it to create a lesson plan. So let's create a lesson plan for above course. Let's see what it does. Now it created the lesson 1, lesson 2. So now it's not in a format of modules, but it is in a format of lessons. I can ask it based on that information which I provide. I say, give me 10 question assessment. So now from that information, it's going to create 10 questions that can be added into the quizzes. I can keep going on. I can say this course is going to be spread over 2 days. Give me the homework. What homework I should give to people? If this course spread over 2 days, what ideal homework I should give to students? Create 2 versions of thinking intensive homework. So now I am giving it instruction, make it deeper, make it more challenging. Homework assignment 1. Wow. So it kind of created pretty intense homework, I would say, but it outlined very nicely what really is expected out of that assignment. So depending upon how well I write the instruction to this one, it's going to generate me what I want. But give me an example. Okay. So I think it kind of repeated probably same thing. No, it actually gave more confirmatory information that what needs to be done in the homework. And I'm going to take you to the second last step very quickly. I'm going to say, I want you to create one case study for student to solve. Focus the case study on fixing the errors and make case study an interesting story format. So let's see that whether it gives me case study or not. Okay. So now it created a story that a such and such person, she's having a problem. She received this one. She got an error code. So it created the entire story for that case study. And it's going to say, okay, now this is this assignment for you. We would want you to solve this case study. So imagine that you have some technical issues and other things here. The quality of this output depends upon what you feed. Okay. So if you feed the correct information, it can build the connections and neurons. It is going to do wonderful. I'm gonna take it to one step. I know it's mind-blowing. Let's create presentation slides. I would like to create outline for presentation slide that instructor can use to conduct above course. Limit it to 10 slide maximum, because otherwise it's gonna take a lot of time. Okay, so fill enough details. I'm gonna take this outline and I'm gonna create instantly all the slides with images and everything. I don't like this detail, because very high level only. I want content. So I say populate each bullet with content. It's still not doing what I want it to do. I wanted it to create the actual content here, not just tell me that what that slide is about. In the previous iteration, I actually gotten ChatGPT to create brief content under each of those bullets. The outline I created in the previous iteration looked something like this. It has slide number 1, introduction, then it has slide number 2 about understanding XLOOKUP, then slide number 3, advanced lookup, arrow handling, XLOOKUP versus VLOOKUP. And the slide 6 it created was applications. And then 7th was best practices. And 8th was hands-on practice, and 9th was case study, and number 10 was conclusion. So remember that I gave it an instruction to create only 10 slide presentation outline. If you see over here also, I do not have a whole lot of content. It's a little bit detailed in terms of sub bullets, but it only gives the guidance that what should be on that slide. So I'm going to take this outline to another AI tool where we are going to create a presentation slide almost instantly. I don't have content. I want AI to create the content under all of those outlines. So I click and I have to just kind of name it XLOOKUP, and I just click it. So what it's going to do is going to kind of create me a skeleton, but I am actually going to replace that skeleton with whatever outline I just created. Since I'm using a little limited version, so it doesn't support all the character, let's only build until slide 5. Okay, choose a style. So let's see that what style matches with my branding. It's creating the content underneath each of those outlines. Remember that I didn't provide the content. So again, behind this app is a similar powerful AI tool which create the custom content based on the context. So you will see the magic in a moment. And it's going to create the images that are going to be appropriate for the content and the context. So you don't have to necessarily change the images. It's going to auto pick for you. And that's the whole idea of artificial intelligence. Read the content and the context in which it is being used. Now, look at this one, what it created. Okay, it created an intro. It is putting up some agenda that how the presentation is arranged. Then it's going to say different how it is set up, multiple criteria, complex function. Remember that in our outline, we had a slide on troubleshooting. So it created a slide and it added the information. So where this content came from, it came from AI's its own engine. But if we do it right, we can force it to pick the content from the procedure we created earlier. We can contain this tool to pick up that particular content. So that way it does not pick up the general content from internet. You see, it did a pretty interesting thing, of course, the recap and all that. So if I click on present, it's going to actually look like proper slides. So beautifully done based on the theme I chose. It chosen the appropriate images as well. It picks up the images based on the context of the text. But if I want to change an image myself, I can replace that image with anything I want. But again, the idea here is we are eliminating the human manual work and we're leveraging the app. Not everything we need to really leverage AI app. Many things we need to do ourselves. But the idea is if AI can create a first level of draft for presentation slide, it is far easier for us to populate all the relevant information there because it has a structure. It is well organized. It has all the right detail that what we really wanted. Then we can go back and edit it. All right. So that was the demonstration, how we can create the content like this. I'm going to take it to the next level. I want to use the content on this presentation slide to create a video where instructor doesn't have to present anything. I want an auto video which can be used as a self-learning instrument. I'm going to copy this entire text and I am going to take it to another tool. This is called Victory. It's also powered by AI. I'm just going to paste the content which that presentation slide just created. I just need to delete something which is not relevant. And I'll just keep what's relevant. We got the basic text. We don't actually need to paste the images. AI is going to find the right kind of clip for that information. So I'm going to choose just any template. It's a little bit processing intensive, but it's going to do its own magic. The video it's going to create is faceless. Mean it's going to pick the clips. according to the content and context. We have to kind of change those pieces to make it more in sync with the message. You can replace those clips with your personal clip or your professional clip or your own company clips, depending upon what the context is. So it's just created something, and we're going to review it. But before that, I am going to add audio, which is going to be the voiceover. Let's first go to the storyboard. What it did is it created all the scenes automatically. So this is how the video is going to look like. It's more efficient. While it has chosen the automatic clips, we have the ability to actually replace any of these clips. I can actually upload my own content. I can upload my clips that's going to match with the script. So that's the whole idea about making the faceless videos using AI. Faceless video means they are not going to be the face of instructor in this one. It's going to be based on your clips in your organization repository. It can be your own products. It can be your own information. And then it's going to combine all those clips based on whatever information it can find from your video repository. And it's going to take tiny, tiny clips based on the context and put it there. And if it can find, then you need to provide it a source, where to go and what information to include. Now I'm gonna show you a very interesting thing. How would you make a AI-based video using your instructor's face or your own face? Since I am on a limited function, so I'm only going to give it a little bit of information, not a whole lot. So let's see that how it's going to be able to generate. Now, I can generate using an already provided avatar, or I can pick anybody. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a video where we can put an instructor's face, or we can even put our own face. So I'm going to just do a tiny video, not a whole lot longer. And I'm going to choose an avatar. So let me choose a voice that is a male voice. And I can choose any of this avatar. I can try to generate the video here. Okay, just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to make it shorter. And let me add my own picture. I can upload my own voice if I want. Since I don't have my own voice at this moment, I can't. Let's see how I look like when I speak something I have never spoken. All right, I don't have enough credits. So this is an example video. It just created with the 2 sentences. So it speaks pretty realistically, and you can actually superimpose your presentation slide content in the back. So it runs pretty nicely.
Then there is interrelationship. There is also dependency. One interfaces with another. You can be productive. What's the point of producing so much if your boss doesn't like the quality? And there's no point doing things faster if you're going to do mistakes.
You post your own picture or instructor's picture, and it is going to animate your lips movement and everything. This is a very weird one, but what I could do is I could actually upload my picture and I can create myself as an instructor. I will be presenting something I have never presented in my life. So imagine that you could actually add your instructor's videos, and you can give them the content and they speak the content they have never presented. So it's very realistic, and you don't have to open your cameras or anything to create those great videos. But the idea is, if we integrate all these tools intelligently and strategically, We can build all of these components in a few minutes. Sometime maybe it can take hours if we need to validate and hammer it. But the idea is that it can do wonder. If you want to slice your original video intelligently based on the theme, provide it an instruction. Here is the video. I want you to read the transcript and I want you to thematically segment this video into 5 sections. Then at a strategic point, it's going to auto cut that video and it's going to give you 5 different segments of videos. I have another tool which automatically segment the videos depending on how many number you are given. If you say, I want 20 tiny videos out of this one, each video shouldn't exceed 30 seconds. It's going to give you 20 video of the most strategic location. But how does it decide? You give it a keyword. You tell him that where I am making a great statement, take that one out. Or we are basically switching the scene, take the cut there. It will understand your instructions and it creates. I have done many of those videos. It only takes a processing time to create those videos. You can define whether you want the content to be pulled internally or you want content to be pulled from outside sources like university, Wikipedia, or any other website. So then you can build the content that way. But what content you have built, you just have to do a disclaimer. This was created by AI and it does not amount to any plagiarism as of now. Now, when the content is created by AI, it is not called plagiarism, because it has been created by an artificial tool by mixing and other things together. It does not copy the content as it is. It redrafts, it rephrases everything. I think the plagiarism as such is not applicable because it does not copy the content directly. It builds the wisdom out of content and then give it to you in context of your question or query and trim it down, slim it down according to what you really need for your audience. For example, I told it, give me the response for 10-year-old. It taken the professional content, slimmed it down for that audience, written in a different fashion that it cannot be deemed copy. If you search it on internet, you cannot find it anywhere. Any content you generate using AI, there are tools that can tell you it is created by AI. That's not a big problem. Right now, they are reviewing the laws again, how it should be done. For example, yesterday, Elsewhere is the topmost journal publisher who publishes research papers. Say, okay, we allow you to create AI content and include in your publication, but you must mention that this is created by AI, and as a researcher, I have validated. There are legal things going on that content created by AI, who takes the responsibility if there is a liability issue. So they're working on those ones. Software is launching ChatGPT into all their products in MS Word, in OneNote, in Excel, PowerPoint, everything. It's going to be extremely powerful. Basically, it is going to give you a chat assistance in all their products. And let's say you got a meeting at 4 p.m. It's going to go to your Outlook. It's going to see what the participant, what the meeting is for. And it's going to look at your emails, what was the last meeting notes. And it's going to create, here are the things that you might want to include in the agenda. Here is the presentation slides, content that you can present. So it's going to be much smarter. It's going to be across all the products. But other than Microsoft search, which is just like Google search, it already had the ChatGPT inbuilt into it. So if you today go bing.com/new, you will actually be able to have exact same conversation what I am having with ChatGPT. Yes, the ChatGPT or OpenAI model can be integrated with any product, any information, or selectively with one specific one. And then you basically contain its intelligence within that tool.